Hey there, welcome. I am so happy that you're here. This is the podcast Gaining Momentum, and I already got to commend you. You took a first step. You're giving this a shot, and I love that. You know, I want to bring the same energy of trying to improve, trying to get a little bit better each day. And that is such an exciting energy, an exciting time to live. We're going to dive in on the topic of gaining momentum. I feel like that word momentum is so unique. I think every one of us can look back in life on times where I've been like, oh my gosh, everything was just working. I was exercising, I was eating right, I was doing all these things. Everything worked. And there's times where we just have totally had no momentum and it feels like everything is going wrong. What I am looking to do is to build a community of people who are looking to gain momentum. You know, we're not all there, but we're trying to move in that direction. That's what matters. And you are welcome here, and I'm really excited to grow with you. The word momentum is one of, if not my favorite word. I just love it. I want to talk about a few things, but in particular, I just kind of want to start with the definition. Definition of this word is kind of interesting, and honestly, normally I hate hearing definition of a word, but I want to talk about it a little bit because it's pretty unique. So, it says momentum is the strength or force gained by motion or action. In physics, it's the product of mass and velocity, showing that when something moves with consistency and speed, it becomes harder to stop. That's a pretty cool definition. Thanks, ChatGPT. I love that. Showing that when something moves with consistency and speed, it becomes harder to stop. That's how all of us want to be. So, the thing that's really interesting is kind of looking into like the root words of like what this word actually means. In the Latin, comes from the word momentum, meaning movement or motion. Okay, there's another verb that means to move. The other thing that's really interesting, though, you know, in old times, says in ancient times, who knows when that really was. One of the things that was really interesting, though, it referred to momentum as importance or influence, showing that movement isn't just physical, it has an impact. I think that's such an interesting way to view that word. There's a lot of depth to just a singular word. So basically what we're getting at is that momentum is both movement and purpose. Okay, so now, how do we start? There's a whole bunch of steps, but right now, I want to focus on two. We're going to talk about starting small, and then we're going to talk about our why. What is our purpose? Okay, so starting small. Congrats. You're already this far in the podcast. You are making an awesome first step. All right, we're just about 4 minutes into this. You've done a great job. That's exactly how we start. Starting small, making progress. You can measure now. Like, okay, you know what? I invested in me. I learned about momentum. I'm doing these things. I'm trying to make little steps, okay? It all begins with that first step. I feel like almost everyone has pushed a car that's in neutral. Terrible feeling. Not fun. But I want to point something out. When you go to push a car, you know, if someone says, oh gosh, I need to push my car to the gas station, you don't notice, 10 people running back 50 yards to get a sprinting start and then hit it. Doesn't work like that. Everyone starts, you're right next to it. You kind of, lower your knees a little bit, get into a football stance, and you push. You slowly push. And that's how it gets started. Slow movements. The hardest part is at the beginning. Okay? You don't just come sprinting at it and hit it like a brick wall. It doesn't help. You start with small, measured movements. That's really what makes such a difference as we're trying to gain momentum. feel like almost everyone has done that, where for me, I'll use myself as the bad example. I can't tell you how many times I've started the carnivore diet. Good intentions. I'm excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel great every time I do it. But holy cow, that's a hard thing to commit to for a long time. For those of you that are on it, props to you. Well done. I'm impressed. That's a hard first step, you know? Maybe an easier first step is saying no to that second plate of dessert, or the first plate of dessert, or whatever it is, or walking a few extra steps, you know, making sure you're, counting your steps, or going to bed earlier, having less screen time, whatever that is. There's a lot that we can do when we start small. That's how we're going to be able to gain momentum. We don't want just a short burst of energy that doesn't work. We want this to last. We want to gain momentum for the long run. So that first step is really, really important. Okay? It's going to get easier from here, but these first steps are going to be hard. It feels like, for me too, I'll tell you, waking up in the morning, man, it feels like every time I'm like, okay, I'm going to wake up in the morning. Of course, that next day the kids are struggling or whatever. Something keeps me up at night, or I'm just so tired the next morning and feel exhausted. That's sometimes how it is. All right, but we're all just trying to get a little bit better. Every single day, we're taking those small steps. One of the things that I want to talk about here is the psychological effect of a small victory. Okay? And I'm a football guy. Okay, so I'm going to put it into football terms. You know, I had a fun team growing up with one of my cousins. He was tall and fast, and he's a great receiver. I played the quarterback, and we were playing flag football, short field. And at that time, I could throw almost the entire distance of that shortened field. So we'd start off every game just launching it, and he'd just catch it. We started off almost every single game until we didn't. We started to get stopped. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, we can't even get a first down. What is going on? I just need to get 10 yards. We can't even do it. It's a terrible feeling. However, when you get that first down, or even those first positive yards, trending in the right direction, it's like, okay, all right, at least we're starting to move. Okay? We can absolutely celebrate these little wins. Okay? It's really important to have some positive self-talk. Again, already you're listening to this podcast. If you're listening this far into it, awesome. You're doing great. A great first step. Allow yourself to give yourself a little pat on the back. Okay? You're trying to grow. You're trying to improve, and that is excellent. Sometimes when we have huge goals, it can feel really overwhelming. Okay? So for example, you know, some young quarterback comes out there and says, all right, I'm going to break I want to say it's Patrick Mahomes, but the Patrick Mahomes college football passing yardage record in a game. It's like 600 or 700 yards, something ridiculous. Maybe it's even more than that. Now I'll have to look it up afterwards. But you start your game off like that, that's a hard goal. It's tough, all right? It's not impossible, but that is tough. If you think, all right, I'm looking to have a good pass and get a first down. It's a lot more doable, okay? We're not trying to have these crazy, overwhelming goals. We're not trying to climb Mount Everest from one workout. We're trying to have sustained, measured success, okay? Start small. That's okay, all right? That's what we're looking for. We're looking to gain momentum the right way. There's no hack, there's no cheat. It takes time. Okay, but it's worth it. So, even if it's just 5 minutes, okay? Go ahead and get started and then give yourself a pat on the back, okay? There's the quote, and I think it's by Lao Tzu. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation, but it is, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So true, so simple, so absolutely accurate. So, number 2 is you need to define your why, your purpose. Okay? I'm going to share a personal example, okay? This morning, I was on a run, and, I live in South Carolina. Normally, it's not too cold. This morning, it was really cold. It was terrible. I did not enjoy it. I was not having a good time. And, interestingly enough, I had the thought, like, you know what? I'm not dressed for this. I am freezing. The wind's just cutting through my sweatshirt. I need to go home and find a windbreaker or something, even though I knew I don't have a good, running windbreaker or something. But I probably took 20 steps towards my house. I had maybe gone a quarter of a mile. And I was like, come on, don't be a wimp. You can do this. You got to just push through. And it was funny because there was someone at the end of the street sitting in their car. I'm sure they thought I was insane, but I was having a whole dilemma in my head. But I'm proud of myself because I was like, you know what? If I can get a sweat going, I'll warm up. And so, to our dog Bear, I was like, wow, that wasn't really words that just came out. Sorry. I told him, I was like, okay, Bear, we're going to start running. And we started running. And it was going really great until it wasn't. I've been dealing with a sprained ankle or something. My ankle's been hurting me. And I was kind of trail running. And I stepped on what must have been a rock, boulder, whatever. Somehow I slid and twisted my ankle. I didn't even fall down or anything. But that's not a good feeling when you twist your ankle. So in that moment, I kind of stopped to make sure I'm all right. I'm not hurt terribly, but I started to walk. And in that moment, again, I'm going to just be totally vulnerable and transparent. In that moment, I totally could have justified saying, I've already run however far it was. Well, it wasn't even quite a mile at that point, but in my head in that moment, I was like, I've already run. That's fine. I could walk the rest of the way and be totally content. And not like I go super far or anything, but I'm having all these thoughts. And I don't know why. And honestly, I think it was Heavenly Father. But put the thought into my head that, or I guess really a question of, why am I running right now? Why am I doing this? It's 20-something degrees with the wind chill. I'm out here with the dog. Why am I running right now? And I had such a clear thought process as I realized I am running so that I can be able to run with my kids, so I can play with them. And then later down in life, I want to be able to run and play with my grandkids. It was, just a funny moment. As I was walking, and I'm okay with that I was walking at that moment, but I had all of these thoughts and realized, hold up. The reason I'm doing this at all is, I am absolutely willing to sacrifice. Yeah, I'll exercise right now so that I can be able to run and play with my kids and my grandkids one day. And the thing that was interesting is right then I was like, all right, I can run to that point. Then I'll see how my ankle feels. You know how that is. Or maybe I'm the only one who does it, but I'll kind of set a goal in my head and think, okay, I'll run to that point and then I'll stop. And so I kept going and I got to that point. I was like, I feel pretty good. I'm going to keep going. And I kept going and kept going and kept going. I was so happy. But it was a great example to me to remember. I need to reflect on that why. What is my purpose? Why am I doing this? Why do I even have this desire for change? It's a powerful thing. And in those moments when we're feeling weak or feeling down, And of course, it seems like every time we're really trying to make big life changes, man, it seems like we got a lot going against us. But if we have that purpose, we just start taking some small steps, we're going to gain momentum. And that's so exciting. I love the energy that we're going to be able to bring here in this podcast. You know, again, it's a long journey. Okay? There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. I am on this journey just as much as any of you. Really, this is kind of to help me stay accountable as well. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to growing together. And I hope that you'll be able to allow yourself to feel happy. That you're really starting to gain momentum as well. Thanks for listening. And I look forward to talking to you again soon.